His new HBO documentary, 38 at the Garden, is available on October 11th. A lot of different stuff I want to talk about with Jeremy Lin. Thank you for making the time for us, joining us from China. What are the burdens, Jeremy, that you would say that we don't know about that came with being you and what looked like a fun ride, but we can't possibly know what it was like to be you?
I try not to complain too much because the pros far outweigh the cons, but it was also a really scary time. For me, I'm not necessarily like my personality is not maybe conducive to being a celebrity. Like I still get nervous, I'll sweat when I get recognized. I'll like my body naturally seizes when people recognize me. And so losing the privacy and the freedom was definitely a big part of it. I think there was a lot of scary things that happened, people trying to, steal from me or monetize off of me, or people that I loved and trusted that, kind of betrayed me and the whole thing. And so those are some of the burdens that, maybe one day I'll open up a little bit more about. But the pros are definitely, I could go even longer about all the pros.
Oh, I don't want to turn you into a complainer about this. So this is me asking the questions, but I've heard you be introspective about this stuff.
You're trying to find the bad and the best time in Knick fan history. What are you doing?
I have heard him talk about some of this stuff, the discomforts with fame. You can't be prepared for that.
I know.
You must have learned so much about yourself very quickly.
Oh, there is no crash course for what to do when you become the most Google search person on the planet overnight. Like that course was not offered at Harvard, and so it was just baptism by fire, learning a lot, figuring out a lot, and honestly exposing a lot of who I am and my character to myself. And realizing that how I handle situations, how I communicate or don't know how to communicate, my naiveness and being overly trusting of people and different things like that, all of these kind of came into play off the court that the public was not aware of.
How about culturally and family patterns and disciplines that were teaching you about how to be as you arrive at now having to communicate for yourself and dealing with the stuff of I'm sweating when I meet people and now I've got to go play against LeBron in Madison Square Garden?
Yeah, it's just so interesting because so much of, a lot of the, I'm being a little bit more broad and generalizing here, but within Asian culture, there's going to be this level of like reputation or saving face and being ultra polite. And that just doesn't mix that well with the basketball and NBA culture. And so, respecting your elders and those types of things and deferring, like, these are all things that I had to learn on the court and off the court, that I was raised a certain way. But if I was to stay in that place, it would hinder me in my ability to perform as a basketball player. And these are some of just, that's just a snapshot into how kind of culturally I had to unwire certain things to be able to kind of survive in the world that I was in.
Take us through that. What is your relationship with both humility and ego?
My relationship, man, you're coming in with the hard-hitting questions. All right. I love it. I think humility and ego. Ego is important because you can't, and that's the thing is, I used to think humility was like thinking very low of yourself. I don't think that's, humility is not asking you to be, just to be stepped on, right? Like, that's not what humility is. I think humility is understanding who you are, being secure in that, and also still finding ways to serve and love other people. And so I think that's something that I really had to learn along the way, and to realize that actually sometimes in certain situations, the best thing I could do is to actually take over and shoot the shot, or to wave people off, or to do those things. And so that's kind of where I realized that, like, man, humility does not just mean like, oh, forever, like everyone else do whatever they want, and I'm just, and I'm just a punching bag.
Jeremy, when you were in the middle of this incredible run that you had with the Knicks, why did the term Linsanity make you cringe?
I mean, if it wasn't within the context of like a billion other Lin puns, I'm sure I'd be like more cool with it. But it's because like everywhere I went, everyone's like, "Oh, that's so interesting. Oh man, you play Super Nintendo? Oh, like, it's just like everywhere I went, everyone thought it would be so funny to like share a Lin pun with me, and I was just like, okay, this whole thing's lame. That's what I was thinking in the moment. Yeah. And so Linsanity was just another like lame Lin pun. And I know I'm saying it very matter of fact. That actually, in retrospect, I'm like very grateful for just the creativity and just how trends happen and take off, and that's just what everybody was doing, and I'm very grateful for it. But in the moment, I couldn't see it or appreciate it. I was just like, I want to be Jeremy. I don't even want to be like, I don't want to be anything else but just Jeremy. And I felt like Linsanity was like pushing this like superhero like phenomenon in these shoes that I couldn't fill. Like I felt like that was being forced onto me, and I just wanted to be the same person that I thought I was for the previous 22 years of my life.
What do you know now in retrospect that you would apply to that time to do some things differently?
Very easy answer. Number one, first and foremost, I totally wish, one of my biggest regrets in life, I wish I had slowed down and embraced the journey. I know that in the midst of Linsanity, like it went from I'm fighting for my life, I'm fighting for my career, to okay, I got my career, and now, or at least I got this season. Like I'm guaranteed for the season, and now I gotta continue to show that I'm good enough so that they want me next season. And as I'm starting to show that I'm good enough, it was like, okay, well now I need to take it up another notch, because everyone is thinking like, oh, this is Linsanity, he has the potential to really be a star. And then it was like, okay, now I got to be thinking about getting this win streak and getting into the playoffs. And then it was like, okay, well, what about the playoff performance? It was just always something, another goal. It was just goal after goal after goal. And I spent so much time thinking like, if only I could get to a rotation player in the NBA, I'd be happy. And I finally got there, and it was just a new goal. And so if I could go back, I would just slow down and really embrace like every day, all the small wins, like I would have just not rushed through it and then just been like, okay, cool, I got this. Now what's the next thing? I would have really like found intentional ways to slow things down in my mind and to just like sit in the moment of whatever it was, whether it was a Laker game or any other game.
What do you remember about the competitive cruelty? Because people, once you got to that, now they want to make you look bad. That ecosystem is really survival of the fittest. Who were the people who were coming after you with an intensity that was different than anything you'd seen?
Who wasn't coming at me with an intensity? I mean, and I think that's the thing. It was like my whole life, it was like when people saw me, it was either okay, he's Asian, he's lunch meat, like I'm gonna go after him, this is gonna be hilarious, I'm gonna abuse this guy on the court. Or it was like, okay, he's Asian, oh my goodness, I better not let him score on me or do anything remotely embarrassing to me. No matter what, there was a target on my back. So I already had that coming in, because either people thought they were going to get embarrassed, they were going to embarrass me, or they really didn't want to get embarrassed by me. Now you add in Linsanity, and it's like times 3x what that intensity would normally be. But if you're asking me who are the people that really came after me, number one was the Miami Heat like squad. It was almost like their like, I don't know, like it was like a fun like game that they were all in on that I wasn't aware of just like who could make my life the most miserable. And then Darren Williams, the second time we played, he was, he came at me with a different type of energy of like, okay, your breakout game was against me, and let me just show you real quick. Let me just drop 33 on your head and give you this loss. And so those are two that come to my mind.
What do you remember about that Heat game, about coming in to play the big three? What did you think was going to happen, and where and when did you get caught off guard by, it was a concerted team effort, we are all going to try and take this away from him?
It was just the energy from tip-off. Like, it was such a hype game, and so, you know, everybody knew, like, it was like, and everyone was healthy, so, like, the rosters were full. But, like, right from the jump, I mean, I was seeing LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Mario Chalmers. I mean, they were playing defense. Like, Chris Bosh was, like, coming out on a pick and rolls. Like, this is, like, 12 seconds into the game, and I'm like, and they're, like, almost hard hedging, doubling me, and I'm like, where am I? Like, what's going on? You guys realize you have, like, Amari and Melo. And
you forced Chalmers to play
defense,
defense,
right?
I mean,
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, dude, you guys normally don't play defense till the second quarter at the earliest. Like, what are you guys doing? But no, it was a different type of energy that night.
Did you sense that coming into the game? Did you know LeBron and Wade were going to go out of their way to do that to you?
I had no idea. I honestly had no idea. I mean, I knew there's a big buildup, but it didn't seem different than like the buildup to the Laker game. You know what I mean? So it was like with a Laker game, it was like there's the big buildup, but people were just like, like we'll see if things get out of hand. No, the Miami game was like, oh no, like we're gonna suffocate him from before the game until 48 minutes, you know, into the game, and that one definitely like. It definitely caught me by surprise because I thought there was no way they were going to do that because I had such talented teammates around me. Like, there's no way they could put that much pressure on the pick and roll.
People might not understand just how difficult the entirety of your journey was. People might not understand how tough you actually are. But what are the moments where you found yourself doubting your toughness? Because it's hard to hang around the fringes of the league, and it's hard to be where you were and then go back to the fringes of the league.
I mean, that's a very that's a great question, because to me, the D League it's different. And the G League now that I went back in year 11, like, I'm like, dude, this is like a 5-star experience compared to what it was before when we were in, like, traveling 11 hours on the bus to games, and there'd be cockroaches and, like, there'd be snowstorms, so we couldn't eat food the whole day before the game except for saltine crackers that the Holiday Inn Express happened to have, like, and there's no room service, there's no cars to get around the snow. Like, I mean, the stories that I have from that first year in the D League, like, I go on and on and on. I mean, people having to practice in sandals or vans because the luggages are, like, lost and things. I mean, it's us having to wait for, like, 4th grade volleyball teams to, like, and fighting over the court times because the volleyball teams are like, oh no, this is our court time, and we're just like, okay, all right, well, we'll just wait outside for another 30 minutes. Like, it was just a different experience, and that really shows you what you're made of. And then to go from the height of Linsanity and everything that I had to being able to go back to the G League in year 11 to essentially say, like, in my 11th year, I'm actually at a lower point than I was in my first year, because my first year I was an NBA contract that was assigned to the D League. In my 11th year, I was just a member of the G League, not even with an NBA contract. The fact that I made that decision and I passed up millions of dollars in other places to go back and pursue that, to me, was probably one of the more tough decisions that I've had to make in my life.
Do you have a basketball period or a moment that you regard as happier than the moments during Linsanity? Is there anywhere in there that you just assign a happiness that doesn't come with burdens, responsibilities, or things you weren't expecting?
That's it's the crazy part, and I don't even know if people are gonna believe me when I say it, but, like, I was happier in some of the lowest moments of my career, like after that injury in Brooklyn when I ruptured my patellar tendon and missed 81 games of the season. like my faith was in a different place. Like when I was in the middle of Linsanity, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't know how to, because I felt like I had to be somebody and prove something to be fulfilled. And then by the time that I was proving and doing all these things, I realized it wasn't fulfilling. By the time that I was in Brooklyn, I had gotten injured. My faith had taken me to a place where I was very secure in who I was as a son of God, and I didn't feel like I had to prove that I deserved anything. I was just, I felt like I was more secure in that. And so when you talk about the happiness and the fulfillment, I really had, as my career has gone on, that has gotten stronger and stronger, and I've become happier and happier and able to enjoy wherever I'm at, even if it's not at the destination that I wish I was at.
Well, the destination you wished you were at wasn't what you expected it to be, correct? That'll alter. That's a bit of a mind bleep to arrive. You know, you arrived at your dreams. Did you not know what you thought you were your dreams? Like starring in Madison Square Garden, putting up 30-plus games, that might have exceeded your expectations.
It far exceeded my expectations, and maybe I can draw a difference between happiness, because I was very happy on the court during those moments, during the Laker game, during that whole run. I was happy on the court for sure, but was I like joyful? Was I fulfilled? Not so much. And so maybe I'm talking about two different things. Maybe I'm talking about more about the joy and contentment aspect of it. But in terms of the happiness on the court, I mean, those games, those amazing games, I mean, yeah, those were very, very, very happy times.
Can you give us a handful of the things? It could be whatever they are, just experiences, meeting someone. But during the middle of that, when you're calling your boys all over because you're saying you're not going to believe who wanted to meet me. You're not going to believe who I just spent time with. You're not going to believe what just happened. When you think of those moments, what are they?
You guys are gonna laugh at me. This just shows you how unprepared I was as a celebrity. I didn't even know, like, I didn't even realize like the people that wanted to meet me and who they were. I was so oblivious. I remember getting my, like, I remember after the games, people would be like, oh, so-and-so wants to meet you. And I'm like, who? Like, and I just remember thinking about their first name. I'm like, I don't know them. And like, dude, that's like this like insanely popular musician or actor or whatever. I was just so in my own world. And then when you think about like, what were the moments that brought me so much joy? It was like, you won't believe this. It was like when like I got a life-size fruit roll-up jersey sent to my house, or when I got like these like boxes of like free, like, it was just like these random clothing brands, and they would give me like jeans, because at that time I only owned like 2 pairs of jeans. I was like, dude, I just got a whole box of free jeans. Like, those are the things I was getting excited about. It was so, or like, oh man, like I just got a gaming laptop, you know, like someone just sent me a free gaming laptop. It was just like, I just was, you know, I didn't understand. And then meanwhile, it's like, oh, you get to go to the Time 100 event, or you get to go to the ESPYs and walk the red carpet and win the best breakout player of the year. I'd be like, oh my gosh, no, do I have to wear a suit? They're like, yeah, you have to wear a suit. And I'm like, I don't want to go. I mean, that's just who I am, you know. It's pretty embarrassing.
38 at the Garden is available October 11th. Could have talked to you for a lot more time. Hopefully I'll get another chance to do it. Jeremy, thank you for being on with us.
Thanks, guys.